Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
This is our first mirror talk, everybody. Some of you know Arlen from our product team from the past, so we can all give a shout out to Arlen as he
Arlen, Arlen.
everyone looks so different in our little mirror talk bubbles, which
Mhm.
I'm excited for. Other members of the Swivl team that you can see floating around in the chat that if you have questions, you can ask, you can say hi to them. You might know some of them, but you will see Rachel in the chat. She is on
Hey,
this team,
Rachel. Hey,
and,
Chelsea.
and Chelsea, who
Yeah.
Darcel knows as well. With us today, I'm just gonna let a few Russell, do you know Arlen? He's shouting you out like crazy. Or he's just excited for all of us. I'm not sure, but you got an all cap shout out there. So also with us as people are trickling in for the next minute or so is our amazing special first guest for the very first Mirror Talk. And I think before everyone was jumping in, she and I were talking about how we feel like we could just, if no one shows up, we could just run this. We're
Where's
so
this spot?
excited about Mirror
Yeah.
Talk that we're like, you know what, we could just start talking on our own. So I want everyone to meet Dr. Darcel Hogans. We can give her claps
Hey,
and
everybody.
and some of you have met her in person. Some of you have met her or read about her or seen her on some of our blogs and all over Twitter talking about Mirror and being one of our most enthusiastic first users. So do you want to introduce yourself a little bit more, Darcel?
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Darcel Hogans, and I am a media specialist for Atlanta Public Schools. And it was November 2023 when I first fell in love with the mirror. I was at a Georgia ETC conference and I met Chelsea and she introduced me to Mirror and I have been in love ever since. And I just know that this tool for reflection is going to fly high because students really need to learn how to be comfortable in reflecting. They don't, this is a loss, like they have to do a 3, 2, 1 maybe, or somehow to take it out the door. But this process of actually getting feedback immediately from their reflection is a very powerful tool. So I'm very happy to be here to be a part of this process that's happening. I'm very honored actually to be one of the first demo people. I really love it.
Yeah, and we're so glad to hear a lot, and especially a lot of people who are in this room right now are some of the people that we see talking about not just Mirror as you try it, but reflection in general, and reflection as a skill and an ongoing practice that we need to not only embrace more but evolve. We see a lot of you here talking about it so naturally and with enthusiasm, like you were kind of almost waiting for the moment to start to have an excuse to sort of socialize reflection a little bit more. So we're excited to, towards the end, we'll have some Q&A, and I want to get some other people in this chat even giving us their own ideas or reflections about reflection to get
Reflection about
really
reflection.
meta.
That's a great, yes, I like
Um,
that, Sarah. Yeah, I like that.
or ideas about how they've been using Mirror, because there are a lot of demo users in this room right now. So what we plan to do, we're having a relatively short program tonight just for this first session, but we wanted to take some space to start introducing some of our best new features as they are released. And so coming off of last week where we had one of our biggest releases since the beginning of the year, we thought maybe we won't only talk about this, but we'll focus a little bit. Arlen is going to give us a little bit of a rundown or deep dive into Workspaces. How many people in the chat here, has anyone used Workspaces yet or checked it out or
I
at least
have.
looked around. Some of us are on spring break and we're away from our mirrors and we don't have any access to them. So I'm just wondering if anybody here has had any experience so far playing around with some of the newest features. Cool, Keith. Would love to hear some more about that. But that's what we plan to do. We're going to talk a little bit about some new features, and then Darcel's going to lend some of her experience in what she has seen in her school. She's using it on several levels in the media center, with students and also with adults. So we're going to get some firsthand experience, some stories from her as well. And I think that's it. If anyone has any questions, we're going to do some of that at the end, like I said. And also we'll be doing some live tweeting. I'll be quiet for a lot of this, so I'll do some tweeting as well. If anybody if I don't know your Twitter handle, or you want to connect with everyone else who's a demo user in this room, please drop your Twitter handles in the chat so we can all quote each other. I know the whole Richmond family is going to say brilliant things in the chat. So we're going to quote them and tweet them. So please leave any information you want me to use to tag you. But Arlen, do you want to introduce a little bit about what we'll talk about? Take it away.
Sure. Thanks, Sarah. Hey, everybody. Some new folks that I don't know yet, but looking forward to getting to know you. But today we're going to get to know our new feature. I'm happy to introduce one of our most requested features, the guided workspace. And the intention of this feature is to facilitate small group work that's guided, that's aligned with your classroom goals, and that doesn't require you to sit right there next to your students the whole time. Now, the guided workspace, we think hits at least 3 important elements of good group instruction: clear objectives, structure, and of course, reflection and feedback, which we all love. Now, when kids get going on the workspace, they are going to hear your goal. They're going to work through the instructional experience that you set up in just seconds, step by step. And I'd love to show you now basically how it works. Just so you know, you can set it up on the web version. I don't know if all of you have checked out the web version of Mirror, but we imagine that oftentimes you are, sitting on your laptops and getting ready for class. So it's probably the best place to set up your guided workspace. But that said, sometimes as teachers, you do things in a pinch. And that's why we made it super easy to just basically hit customize, add this new feature to the student experience in a matter of seconds, plop it down, and have kids run through this kind of customized instructional experience. I do want to hear about anybody who has used, but I'll just give you the rundown on how you can get started with this. So pretty easy to get this going and layer this into your kids' Mirror experience. So I will, if I can, share my screen with you, and we'll get this going.
Arlen, while you're getting set up, can I say one quick thing? And I'm glad that you said to go online, because I was having a tad bit difficulty trying to put in a link for the students to see the link, because I'm typing it in and I kept missing something. Then it would say that link is not valid. And I'm like, because I wasn't typing it in correctly. But now that I know that I can go on Mirror Talk and then it's actually cut and pasted on, would be a faster. So thank goodness. That was driving me crazy.
Absolutely. We don't think that Mirror is the ideal space to kind of customize things, because, but when you have to prepare something really quickly, and kids are walking in, it's available to you. But that said, we should work on that and make it easier to plop in a link one of the things that we are going to improve is you shouldn't have to, we have a lot of URL validation. We want to make sure that the kids on the other end are getting a proper web link. If we type in the wrong link, then kids are sitting there and then they have to call you over and, it's a whole thing, right?
Right.
But that said, we should improve that on mirror device experience and make it easy for you to just drop in a link without so much validation and not having to get everything perfectly. So we're working on it and that should come soon. But let's take a look at how easy it is to get started with this. I'm going to share my screen here.
Yay.
All right, are we all seeing the talk? I hope
Yes,
so.
we are.
Okay, now from the student side, it's easy to explain. From the teacher side, let's talk about the 10 seconds it takes to put together a step-by-step instructional experience for kids. So I've got my science class here, and as you all know, I'm going to basically customize the reflection because before kids dive into a reflection, what I'd like them to do is do some work and then reflect on how that work goes. And so I'm going to hit customize here. And now we've got all these options here, and I'm sure we could talk about these later, or maybe you've already used them. But we're going to focus in on adding this instructional step-by-step experience, the guided workspace, to a kid's reflection. And right now it's not enabled, but we're just going to tap it here. And now it's enabled. And here's how easy it is to layer in the instructional experience portion of this. So all I'm going to do is say, I'd like to run kids through a series of instructional experiences. And so I'm going to add a step. And now I can add a tool to that step. So, for example, my kids just learned about volcanoes. What I'd love for them to do is I'm going to have them watch a short video. So I'm going to paste in a YouTube video link here. And I can even record some quick directions for them. And of course, kids will be exposed to those directions. And then after they watch that quick video, I want them to hop on a whiteboard together on the mirror, and I want them to draw out all the different parts of the volcano that they learned about in class. I actually don't know if there are different parts of the volcano, but I thought, what the heck? So I would love to show you in practice how this works from the student side. I'm going to see if I can unblock the background so I can show you my device, because it's worth noting here that if you assign a guided workspace, obviously for kids, it would only be available on the mirror device, right? So kids walk up to the device, they go through this guided activity, and then they reflect on how that activity went. On your end, you can all customize these things from the web, customize these things from the device itself, but the actual implementation has to happen on the mirror side at this time. Now I'll try to describe for you. We can take a look at any questions that are coming up as we go. But just real quick, what does it look like from the student side of things? Now, as you know, students just have to worry about walking up to the device, tapping their name, and hitting start. And when they do, they're going to be plopped right into step one of this guided experience. So step one for us is watch a quick YouTube video. We don't have to worry about them searching YouTube. We don't have to worry about them finding any tools. The video just loads on the screen right in front of them, and the directions that you've recorded for that step just start playing automatically. It's as if you're right there beside them. And then when the kids are done with that step, they simply hit next. And then the next step, the next instructional step, is going to load right in front of their eyes. The instructions will be there. And then at the very end, once kids have wrapped up the instructional steps, they are brought right into our guided reflection. So we're super excited about this. Let's talk about, just right off the top of my head, some ways that people are using it. And I'd love to hear if anybody here has used it, any use cases. But right off the top of my head, we've got a speech and debate team leader who's working with kids to practice their speeches before, big competitions. And what she's doing is layering in actually a recording tool as a step. So on the student side, what they do is they walk up to the device and right away they start recording the speech that they're practicing. And then it's only a one-step, experience. After that one step is done, they reflect on how they thought their speech practice went. Another interesting one was, you can set this up from the web and beam it over to your device. So another interesting use case that I saw was we have a teacher using it with subs. And when subs want to also have group activities going on without a super amount of knowledge of what's going on in your classroom, just beam this guided activity, this customized reflection over to your device. And all the teacher needs to know in your classroom is to find it on the device and load it up for kids, and then they'll just be guided nicely through that experience. Darcel, Dr. Darcel, how has your experience been so far with that activity?
So far, it's been wonderful. I am really impressed with the substitute aspect of it because we don't want our students to lose on the reflection aspect of what they're doing in class if there's a sub there. One of the things that I wanted to know is, does the sub have to, how you have to use the QR code to log in? So the sub would have to download, will they be able to see what the teacher has put in since it's on a different account? That would be something that I would love to see, because that would be a game changer if I can tell my teachers, they can send that to for a part of their sub work, that there is the Swivl mirror for them to access.
Yeah. So as you all have signed up for a pro account, and you all are the owners of your kind of Swivl mirror machines, along with those pro accounts come opportunities for your colleagues to sign up for 60-day trials. And so let's say you've got a sub tomorrow. They can, if you invite them to your group, they'll have access to all of the customized reflections that you want to implement. And they can load it up and your kids are good to go.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. Though another thing that my students have used, and I wasn't sure, and I put this in the chat, that when in the workspace, I haven't used the whiteboard in the workspace. I've used the whiteboard, the students have used it, but I haven't seen, can they record what they are actually documenting on the whiteboard in the workspace? Will the teacher be able to see what they were doing in the workspace?
Yeah, we're big on evidence of thinking and understanding the effort that goes into any instructional experience. We do want to highlight the insights that you take from those instructional experiences, like that's the focus of the dashboard for sure. But in certain cases, you really want to dig in and see what kids are up to. And so as kids move on from that whiteboard step, the whiteboard is going to be captured. And it's going to be, all of that work is going to be saved within that reflection card on the dashboard. So wonderful. Easy to when you want it. And I would say that that's kind of step one. I think it's interesting to learn from you all, like what kinds of insights might you want to draw from whiteboard experiences? Are there any insights that we can automatically generate for you? At this time, we're living in a dream world, but I think you all are gonna, you all are gonna help us understand, like, how can we do better there? But as a first step, yes, all the whiteboards are gonna be saved and you can, dig in and see what kids are up to.
That's fabulous. That's absolutely fabulous.
Now, if anyone, like I said, I wanted this to be a relatively short or concise first session. So if anyone has questions, not only about the features that Arlen was just explaining, but anything about the experience of using Mirror so far, since it is so new to all of us, feel free to ask them now. And while we're kind of maybe waiting for people to think or collect some of those ideas, I thought that maybe Dr. Hogans could give us a little bit of insight. I know her story very well, but I know everyone else in this room would probably love to hear a little bit about how she's using Mirror in the media center of her school. If maybe you could give us a little
Yes.
picture of how that's working.
So, the media center is the hub of our building. So the students come, it's in a glass, like, so when students walk by, it's glass, so you can see inside. And so students come all day. There's students in there all day. But what really has taken place is that has become a space of peace, of solace, because I play music. It's a comfortable space. And so the SEL, social and emotional learning coordinator, and I started talking that our classrooms, every classroom supposed to have a calming corner in it, but the classrooms themselves are not really large enough to have a quiet space, because students are still going to be able to see what's going on. So, and the media center is huge. So in the back, I have a reflection zone. It's a little space, and I have like a partition over there. And so students from the SEL coordinator is able to bring students who need a moment. And I have books on SEL, like just different stories. And so they come over, and then they're able to talk about their emotions and talk about how they're feeling. They go into the where they kind of recharge, and they can, do a half bath, and they can do their breathing. So that reflection zone is very popular now. Like, the media center is a space where students now know that they can come, even if they're not with the SEL coordinator, they can still come with their teacher permission to come and have their moment. We used to have a mindfulness room down the hall, but there's no one in the mindfulness room all the time to monitor the students on the actual mirror. So we decided to keep it in the media center, where somebody will always be accessible to the student if they have an issue about using the device. So someone's always there. But the SEL coordinator and I worked really hard on trying to make sure that it's a space for students to feel comfortable, to be able to reflect on their feelings, because they don't really know how to do it yet. And so it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because we want them to reflect on their feelings, but we also have to teach them how to do that. So that's also something that because the teachers, I'd say they don't have time, but the teachers, that's not really what they're there to do. They're there to teach about the actual lessons. And so the social emotional aspect is separate from the teacher. So they have to learn how to express themselves. So I'm really excited about that part, how it's transformed into just the everything is there. Reading, writing, just a moment just to relax. So that's how we're doing it in the media center. Just that one part of the media center.
Yes, and her school also has, they're implementing it in a couple of other ways, but I think your main experience right now is how you're running it in that section of the building.
Yeah.
So I see Damien just threw a question in there that maybe Arlen could check out while I just ask a couple of more questions here to everybody. So, and maybe people are going to do this even before I say it, but in the next, I'd say we have about, let's have like maybe 5 more minutes. And if you have questions for Dr. Hogans as well about anything else that they're implementing or what they're thinking of for the future, I'm gonna be in her school at the end of next week. We're very excited for the very
Ooh,
first Mirror Talk Live. We're gonna throw a little
Mirror
celebration
Talk Live. We
live
love
in her
that.
school.
Mirror
So
Talk
I would
Live.
say we've had a lot of mirror talk this during the last 30 minutes, but let's leave the last 5 minutes for mirror talk from everybody else. So if we have some questions, let's see. Damien says, how could mirror workspaces be used in the workday world of operations, in particular meetings with maybe other teachers or staff? Like meeting agendas converted to steps or parent-teacher conferences. Maybe we have some ideas about that, but if anyone else here is like thinking about what they just saw Arlen present on, or they've poked around like Keith has a little bit themselves, feel free to drop those things in there as well. Any thoughts, Arlen?
Yeah,
Ooh.
Damien, it's good to have you here. I think it's a super, super cool idea. And I think it's as a next step, we are going to be building out the whole sort of individual experience of Mirror. And that means experiences that are and are not tied to the device itself. And I think, once you bring Mirror into a professional setting, you have to open up, kind of the full experience, outside of the one owner of the device in a meaningful way. And we're not quite there yet. How cool would it be after my workday to just catch up on where I was at, check in on the results of that meeting. So anyway, for sure that's a really interesting use case. And I think in just a couple months, we'll be able to support that better. But if you wanted to try that a little bit, I'd also love to know how it works in its current form. But love the idea. Very cool.
I just saw Tisha's asking about project-based learning use case. It's like you read, like you were in my brain today as I was searching. I asked a few people for different user stories today that I'm working on specifically for project-based learning. It's exactly what I've been thinking about the last couple of days, but I will share with you, I'm looking for the link right now, a recently published story that is adjacent to that, someone that is using it with station rotation in their middle school social studies class. So that is the closest that I have to project-based learning right now, but I'll share that in the chat. But thank you for asking. It's like you're just floating around in my brain. It's exactly where I'm going. Just looking for the link. Anything else?
Do
Totally.
you think, Sarah, can I take a sec and
Sure.
just student experience now that I figured out how to show you my device?
Yeah.
If anyone's gonna go back and watch this or whatever, I can show you real quick, which is so if you can see my device here, basically I have my customized reflection with the guided workspace added. And the customized reflection is all set up for my kids. So all I have to do is make sure that it's loaded here, hit start, and then when my student Mickey walks up to the device, taps his name, hits start. Right away,
Today we learned about volcanoes, how they work, and the parts that make them up. I'd love to hear how you think it went today.
Okay, so now this is right away, they're introduced to the teacher's kind of objective, and then the kid hits next.
Hey kids, watch this quick video about how volcanoes erupt.
Okay, so now I've got this first instructional experience, watch a quick video. When I'm done with this video, I just hit next.
Now get together as a group and let's draw out the different parts of the volcano that we learned in class.
A+. Okay, so just an idea, everything is guided, instructions are there. And then, of course, at the other end of this, we're going to get an analysis of the reflection from your kids. How did it go? So this is how we can continue to make this mirror device better and better at supporting small group work. I'd say that this is just the first version, and we imagine layering in many, many different types of instructional experiences into these steps. We just have to understand which ones are important for you guys. So glad I got a chance to quickly show you that, but it's way more meaningful for you all to try it on your own.
Right, so I'm with Maria. She has the question did you say that the drawing is saved and that the teacher or whoever is watching it after the fact can actually see when you drew the volcano, would the teacher be able to see the student actually drawing the volcano so that they can kind of, or does the device, and it might sound weird, but does the device analyze the drawing, or are we just seeing them actually draw?
Yeah, that's a good question. You'll see what was on the whiteboard. If you go to that kid's reflection, there will be a picture of what they drew on the whiteboard. So if you want to dig in there, that is documented. But I think it would be super cool to start to analyze what's going on the whiteboard. But for starters, in this version, if kids add, some whiteboard drawings, you'll definitely see that on the dashboard when you go to that kid's reflection after they're
And
done.
that's important as far as particularly teaching math. So if you've given them, okay, do this problem, you can see where they made their mistake, or you can see where they were thinking when you watching the actual video. So that's cool.
Definitely.
Okay, Keith. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're a little over time. I see the questions are still going, or comments at least on what other people are saying are still coming into the chat. But if there is, I did want to leave everybody, we're gonna wrap up in the next minute or so, but I did want to leave everyone with this idea that if you did want to step into Dr. Hogan's shoes over here and be featured in one of our upcoming mirror talks, which I'm hoping in the next couple of days we'll have a regular schedule for. I'm still working that out, but they're going to be, and it looks like twice a month as of what I'm thinking at this moment. So if you would like to be featured in either a user story, if you have something an untold story of how you're using Mirror, or you will be using it in a few weeks and want to tell us that story, you can get in touch with me. I think everybody here knows how to get in touch with me. I don't think there's a stranger to me in this house now. So everybody knows how to get in touch with me in one way or another. But even if you aren't sure if you have a full story to tell yet, but you want to be in here talking about it and helping us to spread this really important message about how we need to be thinking about reflection as a skill, and hopefully using Mirror more and more to make sure that we are doing this effectively in the future. So please get in touch with me. Last questions in the chat, and we can give snaps and claps and shout outs to Dr. Hogans for joining us, and for Arlen for jumping in and dealing with some issues with screen sharing. Thanks so much, Arlen, for dropping all of the amazing Mirror knowledge here. I'm going to leave the chat open because some people are still chatting with Arlen here, but otherwise, we are done. Thanks for attending the first Mirror Talk. If you talk about it anywhere, use the hashtag Mirror Talks so that we can follow and share anything that you say. And you can use that to ask us questions live on Twitter too, if there's anything that happens or questions you have in your classroom, in your school while you're using Mirror. You can always tweet Mirror Talk and I will find it somewhere. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.